Hey, fourth graders, today we're going to be working on our Basquiat Dinosaur. We are going to be using the elements of art: line, shape, color. We are going to use different mediums. We're using oil pastels, watercolor as well. So what we're going to start with Basquiat, he liked to use a lot of geometric shapes. That means lots of basic rectangles, ovals, squares, stuff like that. Also, he is known for his crown, because whatever he thought was important, he would add a crown to it, and there were often words and numbers in his art, as well as lines and other details. So we're going to be doing our own version of the Basquiat Dinosaur. You're going to start off with your paper the long way, and I am going to use a what should I use? I am going to use a crayon so that you can see it, because my smartboard tends to be a little bit on the light side. But what we're going to do is, everything we're doing is basic shapes. So for the head of the dinosaur, we're going to use a rectangle. However, I'm going to make it a little bit longer on half of it, and then the bottom half is going to be shorter. So it's going to look like this on the top, and then on the bottom I'm just going to go in a little bit, and then I'm going to finish my rectangle. So it's going to look like that. Okay, make this a little bit darker. Now the teeth will be here, so just do a zigzag line. That's it. We're going to do 2 ovals for the eyes. Remember, this is abstract. This is not realism, and abstract is basically an impression of what it's supposed to be. I did 2 circles for the nostril. Now for the body, I'm going to start kind of like on the top of the head here, and I am going to make a really large oval like that. Teardrop oval. The bottom part we're going to make into a tail triangle. From the top of his head all the way down the tail, we're doing a zigzag line to create the spikes of the dragon. We're going to give him 2 little feet here. For this bottom foot, for this foot here, I did 2 lines close together here, wide here, and then we're going to do a zigzag. This foot could look however you want. For the arms, we're going to do 1 starting from the body right here, and it's just going to be a simple oval attached to 2 lines. And then slightly either above it or below it, I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm starting on the inside of the teardrop, and I'm going out like that, and then I'm adding the other line. The last thing that I'm going to draw is the crown. For the crown, you could put the crown anywhere you want. For this picture, I did a nice big one on the side. This one I will do just like he did in his picture. He did a crown above his dinosaur. So for the crown, we're going to create a W or a zigzag like that. Once you have your W, you're going to add 2 lines going down, and then the line on the bottom. Now Basquiat would double up his crown, so I'm just going to double up the crown as much as I can. Now you guys are going to be doing this with pencil first, and then you're going to outline everything later with oil pastel. Okay, so now that I drew everything that I wanted to have, we're going to go in with oil pastels, and we're going to add what looks like the inside of the dragon. So if you remember, just like in the lesson on Basquiat, his history, when he was a little boy, he had an accident that caused him to stay home for a while. So while he was home, he studied Gray's Anatomy medical book. And in that medical book, there was a lot of images of the human body. in those images, he was really inspired by the way the artist depicted or showed the muscles and the heart and the organs. And now when you look at his art, you can see how he also, you know, added those touches to his own personal art. So for the dragon, you're going to add lines and shapes and things that would represent, like for example, I did a little red thing there for his brain, his organs and body here, and I just added like little lines and stuff with the with the oil pastels. So with the oil pastels, I'm gonna go in and just add like lines and shapes, zigzags wherever I want. I'm gonna do it with different colors. If you see, you could also color in your spikes in as many colors as you want. So I'm going to go ahead and add the oil pastels throughout my paper, and then I'll be back to show you what I did. Alright, so I went ahead and I added the details that I wanted to with the oil pastels. I added lines. I added lines in whites and various colors. I also filled in the inside of the dinosaur as much as I wanted to. I did not color anything. I simply added details, lines, shapes, and details. I wrote Samo, which is also something that he did a lot in his art. I wrote fam, standing short way of saying family. 143, which is symbolic for I love you. I love you. So I wrote some positive things. I did my crown. So once I feel like I did everything that I wanted on my dinosaur in terms of lines and shapes and detail, you're going to take the black oil pastel and you're going to trace over all of your pencil, and you're going to make sure that you press nice and hard because you want a nice covered dinosaur. So you're just you're going over all of your pencil, nice and bold and dark. You're not coloring anything in with the oil pastel. Make sure you trace everything, the teeth, all of it, the zigzag lines. And so I'm just gonna finish tracing all of my pencil, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I traced all of my dinosaur, zigzag, the main parts of the body. I traced everything. I added the lines that I wanted to with my oil pastel. Now comes the watercolor. Watercolor, depending on your palette, will have various colors. You have to wake up the color by adding water to it and swirling it around softly. You don't have to press hard. Please do not press hard. Once you know what colors you want, I want you guys to go ahead and color all of your picture. Your dinosaur is the only thing that should be black. So I'm going to get the black oil pastel, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go over my black dinosaur. Now what you will notice is that wherever there was oil pastels, the watercolor will not stick to that. You can see it right here very well. It will not stick to that because it's oil and water do not mix. So I'm just going over my dinosaur, only my dinosaur. Don't color in the teeth. Be careful. Alright, I'm going to color in the legs black. And that's it. So now that I have my dinosaur mostly black, now for the zigzag part, this part, you can pick whatever color you want. It doesn't matter. I like to keep it nice and bright so it stands out a little bit. So I add red and orange. But because I've already added oil pastels, you may not necessarily see a lot of it. It's fine. Now for the rest of your paper, you're going to add whatever colors you want. It could be as colorful as you want. I want you guys to have fun coloring the background as colorful as you want it to be. So I am going to always make sure that my paintbrush is clean. And I really like using oil pastels and watercolor because I feel like it's so magical when you go over it and it doesn't mix with the oil pastels. I want you to feel free when you're doing this. Don't worry about smudges, don't worry about fingerprints, don't worry about it looking a certain way, because with Basquiat, he was just so free and it was his way of just expressing himself. He didn't worry about those little things. So you can see here how some of my color is just mixing with the dinosaur. I'm not going to stress over it. I'm just going to clean my paintbrush and keep it going. So once you finish coloring the background, you will be done. I'm going to go ahead and finish it and I'll be right back. Alright, so this is my finished piece. You can still see all of the oil pastels, very nice and bold. You can see how I added the watercolor all over the place. It's still a little wet. Once it dries, you won't see any of that buildup. This is such a creative way of kind of honoring who Basquiat was and his way of creating his art. It's like street art or graffiti inspired, because he did a lot of his art out in the street. I hope you guys have fun creating.